In a shocking turn of events, Iraq has issued an ultimatum to the United States: remove your troops or face the consequences. This bold move comes amidst growing tensions and a complex web of economic and geopolitical factors that have been simmering for decades. But what's really behind this sudden demand? The answer may surprise you, and it's tied to a decision made over 20 years ago that shook the foundations of global oil trade. Iraq's call for American troop withdrawal is not a new sentiment, but the urgency and forcefulness of the recent demand have caught many off guard. The Iraqi Parliament's Finance Committee has made a startling statement calling for the sale of oil in currencies other than the US dollar. This move is seen as a direct challenge to American economic dominance and a potential shift in the global financial landscape. The roots of this conflict stretch back to the early 2000s, when Saddam Hussein made a decision that would have far-reaching consequences. In a daring move that defied conventional wisdom, Saddam chose to sell Iraqi oil exclusively in euros rather than US dollars. This decision was seen as a direct affront to American financial hegemony and is believed by some to have played a role in the subsequent invasion of Iraq. At the time, Saddam's move was dismissed by many as foolhardy. The dollar had long been the dominant currency in global oil trade, and challenging this status quo seemed like economic suicide. However, Iraq's gamble paid off in unexpected ways. By the time the euro-dollar exchange rate had shifted, Iraq had netted a handsome profit, estimated to be in the hundreds of millions of euros. This historical context adds a layer of intrigue to Iraq's current stance. The country seems to be revisiting the strategy that once brought it unexpected gains, albeit under very different circumstances. The Iraqi government has recently expressed hope in moving towards de-dollarization, a trend that's gaining traction globally. The current Iraqi government's motivations, however, extend beyond mere profit. There's a growing sentiment that the US dollar has become a tool of economic oppression. Iraqi MP Hussein Mawain stated, "It is clear that Iraq is economically dominated by the US, and our government does not truly control or have access to its own money. We believe that it is crucial to move away from the hegemony of the dollar, especially as it has become a tool to impose sanctions on countries." This sentiment is not unfounded. The US exercises significant control over the Iraqi financial system. Iraqi oil revenues are transferred to the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, and Baghdad requires US permission to access these funds. This arrangement has led to frustrations, particularly when it comes to paying energy debts owed to Iran due to US sanctions. The US has not taken these challenges lying down. Washington recently imposed sanctions on Iraqi Al-Huda Bank, citing claims of money laundering for Iran. This move, along with similar sanctions on other Iraqi banks over the past year, has only served to heighten tensions and push Iraq further away from the dollar. Iraq's push for de-dollarization aligns with a broader global trend. The BRICS countries, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, which account for 47% of global GDP, are working to replace the current unipolar world order led by the United States with a multipolar one. They're also aiming to create a new financial system independent of the dollar. China, in particular, has been making significant inroads in this area. Iraq has recently allowed for trade with China to be settled in yuan, marking a significant shift in its economic policy. While this move doesn't yet extend to oil trade, it's a clear indication of Iraq's willingness to explore alternatives to the dollar. The implications of these moves extend far beyond Iraq's borders. The petrodollar system, which has underpinned global oil trade for decades, is under threat. This system, established in the 1970s, ensured that oil was priced and traded in US dollars, giving the US significant economic and geopolitical advantages. Any challenge to this system is seen as a direct threat to US interests. It's worth noting that the idea of oil-producing countries moving away from the dollar is not new. In fact, it's been a recurring theme in global economics for years. However, the technical challenges and potential economic disruptions have often deterred countries from making the switch. Critics argue that a move away from the dollar in oil trade would be costly and inefficient, with no significant benefits. They point out that the euro's current strong value is taking a toll on Euroland economic performance and that a two international reserve currency system is inherently more unstable than one dominated by a single currency. However, proponents of de-dollarization argue that the benefits outweigh the costs. They point to the potential for greater economic sovereignty and reduced vulnerability to U.S. sanctions. The recent sanctions on Russian oil trade following the invasion of Ukraine have only strengthened this argument as countries seek ways to insulate themselves from similar actions in the future. The U.S., for its part, seems to be taking these challenges seriously. A senior U.S. Treasury official recently stated that Washington expects Baghdad to help identify and disrupt the funds of Iran-backed resistance factions in Iraq. This statement, coming amidst Iraq's calls for troop withdrawal and de-dollarization, highlights the complex interplay of economic and security issues in the region. The situation is further complicated by recent events. 3 U.S. soldiers were killed in an Iraqi resistance attack near the Syrian-Jordanian border on January 28th, leading to a temporary halt in Iraqi attacks on U.S. bases in Iraq and Syria. These events underscore the volatile nature of the U.S.-Iraq relationship and the potential for economic disputes to spill over into military confrontations. As tensions escalate, the world watches with bated breath. Will Iraq follow through on its threat to force U.S. troops out? Will it succeed in moving away from the dollar in its oil trade? And perhaps, most importantly, how will these moves impact the global economic order? The answers to these questions remain to be seen. But one thing is clear. The economic battlefield is just as crucial as the military one in shaping the future of Iraq and its relationship with the United States. The decision made by Saddam Hussein over 2 decades ago to sell oil in euros may have set in motion a chain of events that are only now coming to fruition. As we stand on the brink of potentially seismic shifts in global finance and geopolitics, it's worth remembering that sometimes the most significant revolutions start not with a bang, but with a change in currency. The world waits to see if Iraq's bold moves will be the catalyst for such a revolution, or if the established order will prevail. In the end, the story of Iraq's demand for U.S. troop withdrawal is not just about military presence. It's a tale of economic sovereignty, global power dynamics, and the enduring legacy of decisions made long ago. As Iraq stands at this crossroads, the choices it makes today could reshape not just its own future, but the future of global finance as we know it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more insights into global politics and economic trends. Hit the notification bell to stay updated on the latest BRICS developments.